A dark, foggy night in 1922. You're standing alone in a dense forest, the air heavy with mist. Somewhere ahead, hidden among the trees, is a lonely farmstead called Hinterkaifeck. The silence is broken by a scream, then another. A heavy thud echoes through the night, followed by an eerie stillness. Inside that farmhouse, an entire family is being slaughtered, one by one, with a brutal farming tool. The killer doesn't flee. They stay. They eat the family's food, sleep in their beds, and live among the dead for days. And here's the chilling truth. More than a century later, we still don't know who did it, or why. Welcome to the captivating mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders. A true crime story so bizarre, so haunting, it's gripped investigators and storytellers for generations. I'm your host, and for the next 2 hours, we're diving deep into one of Germany's most perplexing unsolved cases. This isn't just a murder mystery. It's a labyrinth of strange clues, chilling details, and unanswered questions that will leave you questioning everything. So, settle in, maybe dim the lights, and let's unravel a case that's as unsettling as it is unforgettable. Before we begin, if you love diving into the darkest corners of true crime, hit that subscribe button on our channel or podcast feed. Join our community of curious minds as we explore mysteries like this every week. Your support keeps these stories alive, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Now let's step back in time to 1922, to a remote farm in Bavaria where something unspeakable is about to unfold. It's March 1922, and Germany is a nation in turmoil. The scars of World War I linger, hyperinflation is creeping in, political unrest is brewing, and the Weimar Republic is struggling to hold the country together. But in the quiet Bavarian countryside, about 70 kilometers north of Munich, life feels worlds away from the chaos of the cities. Here, in a tiny hamlet called Kaifeck, sits the Hinterkaifeck farmstead, its name meaning behind Kaifeck, a nod to its isolated location, tucked behind a dense forest. The farm is home to the Gruber family, a tight-knit but private clan. Andreas Gruber, 63, is a gruff, frugal farmer known for his sharp business sense. His wife, Kazilia, 72, keeps the household running, her hands weathered from years of hard work. Their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, 35, lives with them, raising her 2 children, 7-year-old Cecilia, a bright and curious schoolgirl, and 2-year-old Joseph, a toddler who brings a spark of joy to the farm. On March 31st, 1922, a new face arrives. Maria Baumgartner, a 44-year-old maid hired to help with chores. She steps off a cart, unaware that her first day will be her last. Hinterkaifeck isn't just isolated. It's a world unto itself. The nearest neighbors are a kilometer away, and the farm is surrounded by thick woods that seem to swallow sound. The Grubers are self-sufficient, but they're not without their secrets. Rumors swirl in nearby villages of family tensions, questionable relationships, and even whispers of hidden wealth. Andreas is said to have a stash of gold coins, a fortune from his frugal dealings. Victoria, a talented singer in the local choir, is the subject of gossip about her personal life, particularly her relationships after her husband's supposed death in the war. But something else is brewing at Hinterkaifeck, something eerie. In the weeks before the murders, the family notices things that don't add up. Let's explore those unsettling signs next. Imagine living in a remote farmhouse, far from help, and starting to notice things that make your skin crawl. That's exactly what the Gruber family experiences in early 1922. Andreas tells a neighbor about strange footprints in the snow, leading from the forest to the farm's edge, but never leading back. He hears footsteps creaking in the attic at night, heavy and deliberate. But when he climbs up to check, the attic is empty. The family's previous maid, who quit 6 months earlier, swore the house was haunted, claiming she heard voices and felt watched in the dead of night. Then there's the matter of a missing house key, one that unlocks the front door. A few days before the murders, Andreas finds a newspaper on the property. a Munich publication no one in the family reads. He questions everyone, but no one claims it. And just days before March 31st, a neighbor reports seeing a strange figure watching the farm from the woods, holding what looks like a rifle. Andreas brushes it off, perhaps out of pride or disbelief, and doesn't report these incidents to the police. Let's take a moment to put ourselves in their shoes. You're living miles from the nearest town, hearing noises, seeing signs someone's been lurking around your home. Would you stay quiet, like Andreas did, or would you call for help? Drop your thoughts in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or tweet us your take if you're listening to the podcast. These strange events set the stage for what's coming. A crime so brutal, it defies comprehension. March 31st, 1922, starts like any other day at Hinterkaifeck. Maria Baumgartner arrives in the afternoon, her bags in hand, ready to start her new job. The family goes about their chores, Andreas tending to the livestock, Cecilia preparing dinner, Victoria watching young Josef. Little Cecilia, the 7-year-old, might have been playing near the barn, unaware of the horror about to unfold. That night, someone picks up a mattock, a heavy, pickaxe-like tool used for breaking up soil, and begins a methodical, savage attack. We don't know the exact sequence, but investigators later piece together a chilling picture. 4 members of the family, Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and young Cecilia, are lured or forced into the barn, one by one. The killer strikes with devastating force. Andreas's face is shattered, his cheekbones exposed through mangled flesh. Cecilia, the grandmother, suffers 7 blows to the head and signs of strangulation. Her skull fractured. Victoria's head bears 9 star-shaped wounds, suggesting a frenzied attack. Young Cecilia, heartbreakingly, shows signs she survived for hours after the attack, lying in the hay, possibly conscious as her family lay dead around her. Inside the house, the killer moves to the bedrooms. 2-year-old Josef, asleep in his crib, is bludgeoned. Maria Baumgartner, who arrived just hours earlier, is killed in her bed, the mattock striking her head and face. 6 lives extinguished in a single night. But here's where the story takes a turn into the truly bizarre. The killer doesn't flee. Evidence suggests they stay at the farm for days, maybe as long as a week. Neighbors later report seeing smoke rising from the chimney. The farm's animals are fed, bread and meat are eaten from the kitchen, and a neighbor's child sees a figure moving around the property. The killer is living among the dead, as if the massacre was just another day. Let that sink in. What kind of person could commit such a heinous act and then settle into the victim's home? If you're as gripped by this as I am, hit that subscribe button to stay with us as we dig into the investigation and the suspects who might hold the key to this mystery. By April 4th, 1922, the absence of the Gruber family raises alarm. Young Cecilia hasn't been to school, the family missed Sunday church, and their mail is piling up at the post office. A neighbor, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, organizes a search party and heads to Hinterkaifeck. What they find is beyond comprehension. In the barn, the bodies of Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and young Cecilia are stacked like cordwood, partially covered with hay. Inside the house, Josef and Maria are found in their beds, blood staining the walls. The scene is chaotic. Curious neighbors trample through the farm, moving bodies and even cooking in the kitchen before police arrive. This contamination destroys crucial evidence, a devastating blow to the investigation. The Munich police, led by Inspector Georg Reingruber, take over, but 1922 forensics are limited. No fingerprints are lifted from the mattock, which is confirmed as the murder weapon. There's no sign of forced entry, suggesting the killer was let in or had access to the missing key. The autopsies, performed by Dr. Johann Baptist Aumüller, reveal the sheer brutality of the attack but offer little else. The police interview over 100 people from neighbors to drifters, but the case stalls. One puzzling clue stands out: the killer's behavior after the murders. A loaf of bread is half eaten, meat is missing from the pantry and the animals are cared for. Whoever did this wasn't in a hurry to leave. Another odd detail: a neighbor reports hearing 2 gunshots the night of the murders, but no bullet wounds are found. Was the killer armed with more than a mattock? And why were some victims' bodies covered while others were left exposed? Let's pause and engage. If you were an investigator in 1922, where would you start with a case this strange? Share your thoughts in the comments or on social media using #Hinterkaifeck Mystery. Your ideas might spark a new perspective on this century-old puzzle. With no clear answers, suspicion falls on those closest to the Grubers. Let's meet the key suspects and explore what might have driven them to such a crime. Lawrence Schlittenbauer. The neighbor who found the bodies is a prime suspect. Schlittenbauer, a local farmer, had a rumored romantic relationship with Victoria and may have been Joseph's father, though he never acknowledged the child. His behavior at the crime scene raises eyebrows. He moves bodies and seems oddly calm. Some locals claim he knew too much about the farm's layout. He also gives conflicting stories about his actions that day. But with no direct evidence, police can't pin it on him. Could Schlittenbauer have acted out of jealousy or a dispute over money? Carl Gabriel, Victoria's husband, presumed dead in World War I, is another possibility. Some speculate he survived the war and returned to find his wife with another man or entangled in family drama. A neighbor claims to have seen a soldier-like figure near the farm, but there's no proof Carl was alive in 1922. It's a tantalizing theory, but a shaky one. The unknown intruder. The footprints, attic noises, and missing key suggest a stranger stalking the farm. Was this a drifter, a vengeful farmhand, or even a serial killer? A similar unsolved murder in Poland years later fuels speculation of a wandering killer, but the personal nature of the attack, luring victims to the barn, suggests familiarity with the family. Family secrets. The Grubers' reclusive nature and rumored scandals open another angle. Was there a dark family secret, perhaps involving Victoria S. relationships or Andreas S. rumored wealth, that turned deadly? Some whisper of incestuous allegations, though these are unproven and controversial. In 2007, a group of German police academy students re-examined the case using modern techniques like 3D crime scene modeling. They concluded the killer was likely left-handed, over 6 feet tall, and intimately familiar with the farm. They even named a suspect, a deceased local man, but without conclusive evidence they couldn't close the case. The farm was demolished in 1923, and many records were lost during World War II, leaving investigators with little to work with. So, what happened at Hinterkaifeck? Let's explore the leading theories, each more intriguing than the last. Robbery gone wrong. Andreas's rumored wealth makes robbery a plausible motive, but why leave money and valuables behind? The killer's decision to stay at the farm suggests something more personal. Revenge or personal grudge. The brutality and methodical nature of the murders point to deep-seated anger. Was this about Victoria's relationships, a business dispute, or a hidden family secret? The killer's familiarity with the farm supports this theory. Supernatural whispers. The previous maid's claims of a haunted house and the eerie prelude, footprints, noises, the strange newspaper, fuel paranormal theories. While unlikely, these stories add to the case's mystique. Serial killer. Some link Hinterkaifeck to other unsolved murders in the region, suggesting a roaming predator. But the specificity of the attack and the killer's behavior make this less likely. One chilling detail stands out: the killer's decision to linger. Was this a taunt, a sign of mental instability, or a calculated move to throw off suspicion? And what about young Cecilia, who may have survived for hours in the barn? Could she have seen the killer's face? Let's hear from you. What's your theory? Was it Lawrence Schlittenbauer, driven by jealousy, a ghost from the family's past, or something we haven't even considered? Drop your ideas in the comments or tweet us with Waterhune Hinterkaifeck Mystery. And if you're loving this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that keep you up at night. The Hinterkaifeck murders have left an indelible mark on true crime history. The case has inspired books like Peter Leuschner's The Hinterkaifeck Murders, a Forensic Analysis, and documentaries including a 2009 German film, Hinterkaifeck, Ghosts from the Past. It's a staple in true crime communities, often compared to cases like the Villisca axe murders or the Black Dahlia. On platforms like X, enthusiasts still debate suspects and share theories, keeping the mystery alive. A small memorial now stands where the farm once was, a quiet tribute to Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, young Cecilia, Joseph, and Maria. Their lives were cut short, and their story deserves to be told with respect. The case reminds us how some mysteries endure, defying time and technology. As we close this chapter on Hinterkaifeck, we're left with more questions than answers. Who wielded that mattock with such fury? Why did they stay, living among the dead? And how have they evaded justice for over a century? The Gruber family and Maria Baumgartner deserved answers, but all we can offer is remembrance, and a promise to keep their story alive. Thank you for joining me on this haunting journey into one of history's darkest unsolved mysteries. If this story gripped you, hit that subscribe button on our channel or podcast feed. Share this episode with your fellow true crime enthusiasts, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and maybe double-check those locks.